request all our attendees, all our esteemed guests, those who are around, to please come inside and grab a seat. We're going to start in next 5 minutes. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of learning for us from the session. So we need all of you to be seated, and we are soon going to begin in next few minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you. And this is your host, your MC for the day, Ruchi Singh. And once again, I welcome one and all my lovely August gathering to the post-lunch session of Second International Conference on Green Hydrogen India 2024. Thank you. Once again, a very warm and hearty welcome to all our esteemed audience, to a lovely, lovely, wonderful audience, our attendees, our panelists, our speakers, our moderator. A very warm and hearty welcome to all of us to the post-lunch session, Second International Conference on Green Hydrogen 2024. As we all know, we're going to deep dive and have a great perspective and great insight over pilot projects and case studies demonstrating the viability of green hydrogen for steel. And now I take privilege to welcome our moderator for the session. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please request all of us to put our hands together and help me welcome on the stage Mr. Kapil Bansal, partner ENY. Very, very warm welcome, sir, and it's a true honor to have you as our moderator. Now requesting our panelists, ladies and gentlemen, our first panelist, Mr. Amarendu Prakash. Sir, he's not here, so I'll move on. Dr. Ramanuj Narayan, Director, CSIR, Institute of Minerals and Materials Technology, IMMT. Very, very warm welcome, sir, and thank you so much for joining us in the session. Next, Mr. Kalyan Kumar Bhattacherjee, sir. Very, very warm welcome to you. Chief Sustainability Officer, COO, Jindal Stainless Steel. Very, very warm welcome to you, sir. Now moving on, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Bernt Nordman, sir, Head of Climate Program, Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF Finland. A very, very warm welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put our hands together and help me welcome our esteemed speaker. Now inviting Mr. Deepak Agrawala, Senior Vice President, Avaada, sir, to please join us on the dais. Once again, a warm welcome to all our esteemed panelists. And as we see our speaker, Ms. Neha Verma, she'll be joining us shortly in next few minutes. And I'll tell you a brief about our speakers, our moderator. Mr. Kapil Bansal is a distinguished expert with over 23 years in the energy and environment sector. His proficiency spans net zero strategies, technology assessments, low carbon solutions, climate change, decarbonization, and sustainable innovation, including new energies, hydrogen, and biofuels. He's also well versed in air quality, sustainable urban development, product design, and policy matters. So it's a true honor to have you as our moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Dr. Ramanuj Narayan, Team Director of CSIR IIMT, has a rich background in polymers and functional materials. Dr. Narayan's career spans prestigious roles, including Senior Principal Scientist at CSIR IICT and accomplished researcher with 110 papers, 6 patents, and numerous accolades, including the Fourth Burger Elite Researcher Award. Is a leading voice in coating technology and material science. We are truly delighted, sir, to have you here. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is the Chief Sustainability Officer. Mr. Kalyan Kumar is responsible for leading the sustainability initiatives at Jindal Steel, including efforts to decarbonize and eventually reduce the carbon emissions for its current and future capacity expansion plan with a goal to achieve the company's net zero by 2050. He has also been associated with Jindal Steel for over 15 years now. Very warm welcome to you, sir. And we have Mr. Bernt Nordman, is a dedicated advocate for climate action, striving to cap global temperature increases at 1.5 degrees Celsius by targeting emission reduction across vital economic sector. With a strategic approach and a commitment to environmental sustainability, he leads initiative to influence policy, engage stakeholder, and drive meaningful change in the fight against climate change. His work is crucial in shaping a sustainable future and ensuring a collective effort toward a healthier planet. Very warm welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining as a speaker, as a panelist today. Now, our next speaker, with over 2 decades of experience in the financial sector, Mr. Agrawala is an unparalleled expert in the institutional equalities, investment banking, fundraising, M&A, and capital markets. He boasts an impressive track record of over 2 decades, working for top-tier companies such as Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Deutsche Bank, Ernst & Young, CRISIL. He has been actively involved transaction involving raising 10 billion US dollars capital during the journey by so far, successfully advising corporates spanning across energy and infrastructure. Very warm welcome, sir. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the session. I request our moderator, sir, to please begin the session.
Am I audible? My normal voice would be enough for this small room. But still, I'll use the mic for the benefit of the recording. A quick administrative first. If you can close the doors so that there is no noise. Second, if you can put your mobiles on silent so that this discussion is more enriching. And then finally, I know this is post-lunch session, so it's better that we be interactive. And that's what we've been going to keep the questions and discussion so that less of yawning and more of discussion and knowledge sharing so that that's not there. So that's first on the administrative side. Thanks to the MNRE, thanks to the sponsors, and thanks to the whole eminent speakers who have been gracious enough to come and join this session from their busy schedule on a working day and discuss this very important topic with their experiences, their use cases. And I can say with very confidence that when we think of this panel, we looked into all the aspects of the steel and the green hydrogen when we were looking at. And from that perspective, we brought in the think tank and the policymakers. And I can see Neha there. Thanks, ma'am, for joining in. So we have a very diverse and great mix of the whole panel. So from a policy standpoint of view, we have Neha, who is going to discuss a lot of the things, what's Ministry of Steel doing. We have from industry, while we couldn't have Mr. Amarendu Prasad to come in from the last minute, but we have Mr. Kalyan, who is going to talk about the actual pilot case study in JSL. We have eminent financiers who are going to make what has been done globally in India from WWF, Bernt is there. We have from academic how technologies and R&D is going to be progressing. Dr. Ramanuj is there. And when we talk about green hydrogen in the steel sector, it cannot be without the IPP or the developers there. And we have Mr. Deepak from Avaada to talk about. So when you look from a whole panel, it's a very balanced, very diverse panel. And obviously, we consult and learn through these discussions and adopt in our life. So one saying goes that we learn, we get paid for what we learn, and then make further money. So as EY, we have been working extensively on the steel sector. Three basic points that I want to bring over here in the overall discussion. Number one, this is where we're going to bring more of the use cases and pilots. Second, we are talking about steel and the green steel per se. So when we look from an overall steel sector, India is the largest consumer and the going to be highest self generation. So we are currently around 178, around 148 to 170 is the range of operational and under commission projects, and we have a target of almost 250 to 300 MMTP of steel, which would have a connotation towards moving towards green because of some of the regulatory perspective. When we look from a green hydrogen, obviously, very funny that a gas which has no color has been given so many colors, but over here we're going to focus on green hydrogen. If we look purely from an economic standpoint of view, in India by 2030, if we have to go by what under National Green Hydrogen Mission, if we have to make 5 MMTP of green hydrogen, roughly around $200 billion of investment is looked into. And from a steel sector, when we look for a movement from 148 MMTPA of slated production to almost 300 MMTPA, we are looking another 400, $500 billion of investment. That's the amount of investment that is going. And always when we have looked into such discussion, first thing that people ask is, where is the market? Where are the off takers? Today, we have a sector beyond refineries and fertilizer, steel, which is driving this through. There are global examples. Having set the grounds ready, there are a lot of apprehensions. I would not say this is a challenge, but it's an opportunity for us to reduce the emission. And with the overwhelming crowd that I see in the small room, that really talks about how important the subject is. Without further discussion, I would like to get this first question to Neha in terms of, recently there was a whole task force that was created, and as of yesterday, the first overall submission has been done on how Ministry of Steel is looking at the steel sector and the green steel with different levers, given the CBAM impacts and all. Wanted to understand, Neha, in terms of what are the key initiatives that steel sector is taking towards the green steel taxonomy, as well as driving the green steel through the utilization of green hydrogen.
Thank you so much. And sorry for joining the panel a little late. We are juggling with so many things. So I'm sorry about that. But thanks for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So yes, we released a report on green steel, which we had been working on since last 1.5 years at least. Yesterday, it was a very momentous day. And this report is a culmination of work of, I would say, at least 200 people, 200 stakeholders. So we had 14 task forces headed by eminent chairpersons with stakeholders from across the ministries, departments, industries, academia, think tanks, etc. So we in this report covered 3 main areas. One is policy levers for the pull side, the demand drivers. Second is the push factors for producing green steel. And then third are the enablers for the transition. So what you mentioned about is definitely a very, very key important lever that is driving the demand through taxonomy. So I would say the emphasis of our whole work has been to create the demand of the green steel. Yes, push is definitely easier than pull. Science says it, but there has to be a driving force for the producers to produce green steel. Right now, people ask me, why should I produce green steel when I have to pay extra cost on it? So the answer is that, yes, ministry is working on a very important policy framework, and we are currently developing a taxonomy of the green steel. Nowhere in the world, green steel is yet defined, and neither in India. By clear, credible, standard definition of green steel, we can first nudge the producers to produce green steel. They don't even know what a green steel is, then how can they produce it? Secondly, we can differentiate a cleaner steel produced with a better technology, cleaner technology from a normal steel. Thirdly, we can generate a demand for it. And fourthly, we can also enable financial mechanisms. If you create a credible definition, then there will be more chances of finances rolling into green steel production. And yes, also it can also foster international collaboration once it's known what, if India has defined its green steel, then the world knows where we stand, and there are more chances of international collaboration. But it doesn't end there. This provides a feed to another important policy, that is green steel public procurement policy, through which we can create demand. So that is what government feels is the most important thing we can do, is to generate the market. So if we just look at the government consumption of steel, we consume about 21% of the total production, which is about 178 million ton per annum. So that's also quite a lot of amount, lot of steel which government consumes. And through our analysis, which you can even find in that report, we have figured out that if green steel comes at a premium of 30%, and yes, that's what we have calculated, that if green hydrogen is used in producing green steel, like if we for a vertical shaft, if we replace 65% of natural gas with the hydrogen, the premium would be around 27%, depending on the cost of the natural gas which you're replacing. But if we take a premium of about 30%, and if we say in government, let's say to begin with, we are mandating only 10% limit of steel to be consumed as green steel, then the project costs of the whole government would increase only by 0.5%. So that's a good news. However, when we calculate that 0.5%, that comes out to be a huge number. So that is where we have to see how this can be managed, because India has a strong developmental agenda. So that is one issue. But however, what I'm trying to say, the nudge for use of adoption of green hydrogen will come, one, from what MNRE is doing through National Mission on Green Hydrogen, where it is helping the push factor. Through its PLIs, through its support schemes, it is helping industries produce green hydrogen, and hence the consumers will also be motivated to use green hydrogen. But after using green hydrogen at a higher cost, then what? We are trying that green hydrogen used green steel, the green steel produced through green hydrogen gets into a market and fetches a premium for the producers. So that is something which we are definitely trying. And of course, one of our task forces was on green hydrogen, where we tried to map the whole ecosystem. And one thing which we figured out is that steel industry has a very huge appetite of green hydrogen in blast furnace route, in electric arc furnace route, and 100%. This was the second one was the blending of green hydrogen in DRI, which goes into electric arc furnace. And then third is the 100% green hydrogen based DRI. We have a huge appetite. CapEx modification required for the existing plants is there, but not so high. However, the economics right now is what is not working out. Green hydrogen is available at $4 to $6 per kg, while the break-even cost is about $1 per kg. So that is the question which we have to, that is the puzzle which we have to solve. Thank you.
Thank you. That lays down a very good context. One of the things that the ministry has done after almost 200 eminent players coming together and giving this report. Obviously, 476 pages, couldn't run through all of them, but I got the gist of the things. And thank you, ma'am, for giving the whole perspective. Now, given that, one of the critical points that you said is the demand side creation. And obviously, if the demand is there, the producers of the steel manufacturers would definitely look for changing their mix. One is from the demand side, and also the compliance side, the CBAM, which is coming, and we are looking from export. And that's why I would like to bring Kalyan in terms of discussion, that you are the first pioneer in terms of doing the first pilot to drive the things. I'm sure you would have your presentation also talk about it. But we would love to understand what Madam just said, from all the demand, supply, policies, incentives put together. As a producer, you have a pilot running now operational. What are your learnings, and how would you like to scale it up with all the support that is now coming in?
Yeah, thank you, Kapil. Good afternoon, Neha madam. Good afternoon, my co-panelists and the guests here attending. So, very good question, Kapil. And yes, we are the first movers in this pilot project for steel plants. And we have a 90 nm cube pilot project, pilot green hydrogen project, entirely made through solar and off-grid energy. So that's a completely green hydrogen project that was done in collaboration with Hygenco. And it is successfully, it is that green hydrogen is being deployed in one of our processes. You see, hydrogen in steel can be used in two ways. Either it can be a soul reducing agent, like in DRI furnaces for steel making, iron making, or it can be a secondary reducing agent like blast furnace co-firing with PCI or natural gas or coke oven gas. The other areas where hydrogen can be used in the industry, which we have explored because our steel making is a secondary route. We have electric arc furnace and hot rolling, electric arc furnace, caster, hot rolling, and others. We do not have a DRI. It's not EAF and DRI EAF. It's purely EAF and the ongoing rolling processes. So we have found out what are the alternate uses that hydrogen can be deployed in the steel plant. So we have figured that one of them can be the annealing of the finished steel, which we do. Annealing, basically, if you are for the uninitiated, annealing is basically relieving the residual stress in a finished steel. So for annealing, you need to heat and cool at a controlled temperature in an ambient of hydrogen atmosphere. So annealing of strips, stainless steel strips, is done for stress relieving. So hydrogen, which was primarily being used for annealing, it was derived from cracking ammonia, that's normal ammonia. That is the starting point where we saw the potential of replacing the hydrogen that is derived from cracked ammonia. We could use green hydrogen as a first deployment case. And we went after that, and we got this first green hydrogen plant in our manufacturing facility in Hisar, Haryana. And that's a 350 nm cube electrolyzer, which is capable of delivering 90 nm cube round the clock per hour, 90 nm cube per hour, and that is aided with the hydrogen storage. So you see, there are other, we could see the hydrogen can be facilitating in heating. That's other than the reduction, other than the iron ore reducing, hydrogen can be very well utilized in heating applications like replacing partly the fuel and reheating furnaces and other things. So hydrogen is turning out to be one of the fuel enhancers where it can be blended with natural gas. There are some countries which are actually experimenting infusing hydrogen into the natural gas pipelines. Like USA, they have started, but the challenge starts with the hydrogen being injected into the pipelines can cause the hydrogen embrittlement of the carbon. That's carbon steel. So that's a challenge, but many countries like USA, and I have learned that Thailand is also thinking of blending hydrogen into the natural gas pipelines directly. So that could provide a game changer for hydrogen penetration into downstream uses, apart from hydrogen being produced as a captive end use like ours or any other steel plant. Hydrogen can find its way into the natural gas pipelines by blending it, and that's when creating a decarbonization avenues for the natural gas itself. So, I would, for a pilot case, Kapil, would you allow me to take you across
Yes, just
a
quickly,
short
if you
presentation
can.
quickly for JSL? See, Jindal Stainless is the largest stainless steel company in India, and that's led by our promoter, Shri Ratan Jindal, founder, Shri O.P. Jindal, and we have an MD, Mr. Abhida Jindal. So we have a turnover of about 35,000 crores and 2.9 million tons per annum. And we are placed among top global 5, excluding China. So our products are slabs, plates, hot roll coil, cold roll coil, coin blanks, bloom strips, flat bars. And we have operations in manufacturing units in Odisha and Hisar, Haryana. And we have distribution centers all across the world. So you see the products of the cold roll products which undergo the annealing, and also the hot roll products which undergo bell annealing, there the hydrogen usage has been found out, and that is where we are using the green hydrogen. So this is just a brief about the company, and we are producing more than 120 grades, employing more than 22,000 people, more than 3 million tons per annum. And that's our product bouquet, which we have. And the facility is 2.9 million tons annual melting capacity for a stainless steel. And we have varied application now, safeguarding nations. Apart from the known stainless steel usages, these are the areas where stainless steel is finding proper use now, like nuclear, space, transport, marine, ballistic, and blast protection, architectural. This is where we are, seeing stainless steel being used. Like recently, we are supplying the plates for tanks. So the stainless steel is finding a new use. Now the stainless steel is developing. So how we can decarbonize the stainless is our journey. That is where we have researched on the hydrogen, how we can implement and scale up hydrogen. So we saw the current state of green hydrogen ecosystems. So presently, our LCOH of hydrogen is, rightly as Madam also pointed out, it is about $4 to $6 per kg. But we are looking forward to the times in 2030 or 2040 where it will come at a break-even cost of $1 per kg, where big and large-scale utilization of hydrogen for the steel makers for reducing iron and carbon to play. Presently, what we see that for producing 1 million tons, you would need about 55,000 tons of green hydrogen. That's hydrogen. So to produce that 55,000 tons, you require an energy that is around the clock energy of about 250 megawatts. Now imagine if a plant is producing 3 or 4 million tons, the scale of hydrogen that will be required and the scale of energy that will be required to back it up. So these are the initial barriers. One is first is the cost barrier, the initial cost barrier. Then the amount of renewable energy that will be required to produce that hydrogen is the initial barrier. So we have to see how we can derive hydrogen from different modes, like in captive mode or the greening of the grid, which can be actually utilized as a renewable energy for producing the green hydrogen. So different use of hydrogen, you see green hydrogen injection is blast furnace, which we just talked about, and it has to be competitive against natural gas or coal. So the parity has to come at 1.1 kg, $1.1 per kg. Then the hydrogen and DRI making, this is where it is a full, this is a total, that is a sole reducing agent. This has to come within a parity of $1 to $2 per kg. Then process heating, where it can replace natural gas, propane, LDO, and COG. We can see a $2 per kg also will be a break even. Then green hydrogen transportation, where EV, petrol, diesel can be replaced. There we can see $1 to $3 per kg can replace the present fuel. And then the niche application, which JSL has been experimenting successfully and is confident enough to further horizontally deploy it across the other manufacturing unit. So here the ammonia. So as we know, the hydrogen present generation cost will be about $4 per kg. So here, cracking the ammonia and deriving hydrogen already came to us at a cost of around that same. So it gave us a fair point of changeover. So transition was for us, it was not a big challenge to get into this business decision. We immediately got into that. And with that success in hand, we are now deploying another 1,000 nm cube or 1,200 nm cube plant for our Jajpur manufacturing unit. So this is just a description about that. It's a 2.8 megawatts green hydrogen plant. It's an alkaline electrolyzer, and that's a 78 TPA tons per annum, which is expandable to 250 TPA. That's the world's first green hydrogen plant with the floating and rooftop configuration. And that's a digital twin enabled. This is a very important thing, that it has to be automated with IoT and digital twin, so that it can maximize the renewable energy, which is a variable in nature. And with the alkaline electrolyzer, it is a hydrogen purity of 99.999%. So this is the brief about the process, which the previous process before injecting the green hydrogen. So it was the ammonia, which was taken to a cracker unit, and then the bright annealing lines and bell annealing lines at a pressure of 10 bars. So here, this is the hydrogen setup. We have a floating solar, We have electrolyzer, we have raw water, and the hydrogen buffer tanks, and pressure reduction to 0.9 bar, and then carried to the end use through SS304 and SS316 pipelines. So that is one of the main important thing, that hydrogen needs to be carried, transported through stainless steel. It cannot be carbon steel, it will cause the embrittlement. So that is a one barrier where we cannot immediately switch over to green hydrogen or any hydrogen from the conventional natural gas pipelines or any other pipelines. So, so this is basically the ammonia cracking unit, which is 300 metric tons. Scope 1 emission it can reduce, and the cost is almost at parity. So scope 3 emissions about 2,400, in total 2,700 tons CO2 can be offset by using the green hydrogen in our process. So what are the challenges and way forward, as Kapil is saying, that what are the policy drivers? Like already Madam has said, that we are creating the that kind of ecosystem for the demand and the push for the green hydrogen, for enabling that green steel. So we see the incentivizing demand could be one of the ways. That's enabling the infrastructure in terms of the hydrogen transportation, the financing, then green hydrogen production costs. These can be looked into, and the sustainable demand for green hydrogen, these can be facilitated. So this is the policy intervention that can be made for green hydrogen, with already the NGHM outlaying 19,444 crores. And also there are site program for the green hydrogen. There are ample opportunity for everyone to get into that green hydrogen production and end usage. We have to just see the scale and how we can deploy successfully in our steel making units. And that's it. Thank you from my side.
Round of applause, because I normally don't allow presentation, but this is first implementation and operational in India. So it's a moment of pride for all of us, that a lot of the time it's been talked about that it's green is greenwashing, but this is real on ground things, and compliment to the team who has done it. And thanks for bringing this out. And I can see the number of phones that were popping up for the pictures. So that was the precise reason that this should be a knowledge sharing. Now, given that the Indian scenario, would love to hear from the global, that how in the global scenario, we have been hearing so much about H2 green steel and different things. So a mix of financing, that's what Neha ma'am just mentioned, that financing has to be also looked into, and the globally the things have been happening on the ground. So Bernt, what's your global take, and what's your thoughts for the India, that can be brought from the global experience to India, and India as a market, as you heard, we are building on the policy side, the execution is there on the ground. What's your thoughts on that?
Thank you so much for the invitation to be here, and thank you for the great introductions. A few remarks. First of all, we need demand for really low emission steel, zero emission steel even. And the good news is that there is already, on a global level, a demand for green steel. The automotive sector is leading the charge. Some other industries are definitely also interested. Just take an example, windmills needed to produce green hydrogen are built of steel. So there will be a demand, and organizations like WWF, campaigns globally, they are already enhancing the demand for green steel, and more companies are on board in this effort. And so I come from Finland in Northern Europe, a neighboring country to Sweden, where the green steel is perhaps the first pilots were. We also have them in Finland. So let me kind of share with you what's really happening, because the finance is crucial. And there is even such a big demand for from the pioneering companies, that the off-takers, the automotive sector, they are investing their own money, And they are making offset contracts 5 years ahead, because to get the 3 to 4 billion euros to build a real large scale steel mill, I mean, you need a lot of capital, and there is a demand, and the demand is so strong that they are actually agreeing that we will buy the green steel when the steel mill is ready in 5 years. So it's really practical, and there's of course a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, but there is also real things being done. So the mills are being built, yeah, so demand is there, and I think when you have the demand, when you have the real demand, you will also get the finance. And then perhaps a third thing that I want to emphasize, I briefly skimmed through the excellent report last evening. Thank you for making the great report. It was really nice. One general comment in the green hydrogen context, it was already mentioned that you can use hydrogen in different ways in steelmaking. I think that also in India, you should try the really ambitious way, the 100% hydrogen reduction pathway, the HDRI, that actually, if you use also a bit of scrap metal in the EAF process, I mean, you could reach emission reductions of 95%. You only have 5% greenhouse gas emissions compared to the normal blast furnace BF-BOF route. That's the level of emission reduction that the world needs. So yes, do also explore the incremental use of co-firing, co-using of hydrogen in blast furnaces, fine. But I really think that you have the possibility, the possibility also to join the global movement and really make the first investment into the HDRI, and really because it will take time, and we know the iron ore in the domestic iron ore is a bit challenging, so you need to kind of find the local solutions. But you have to start today or tomorrow, because it takes time to develop, and the world needs it, because in 30 years most of the steel production has to be really low emission steel. So we should start the journey today. I think that's my initial point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, so there is this validation of holistically that we are looking in India, the growth validated by the industry players. Now, I've always been intrigued by the fact that our academia is mostly interested in research paper and submitting the research paper, and there's a full stop. But here we have Dr. Ramanuj, who's actually building a pilot scale on an R&D level and bringing the innovation out. So first of all, what is the innovation that we are bringing? And I would be happy, and the audience would be very keen to hear, as well as any challenges that you foresee, because we sitting at the other side of the fence consulting, it's easy to speak than to do. So anything that you want to bring out on the ground, sir?
Thank you. And thanks to MNRE and all the organizing team who has given us opportunity. Before going into nitty-gritty detail, I request all the audience who are here, read the book, and Neha will provide you the link. And where I have also contributed in a smaller manner, this is a treatise if you want to enter into the greening of steel. So that is the first breakthrough. A big round of applause for our Ministry of Steel. Second thing, how we are today here, this is the another important thing, fulfill that MNRE, Ministry of Steel, and scientific fraternity, all are coming into one platform. That is the second opportunity and things for us what we look into. Now, if I will come to the scientific point of view, because all my fellow panelists had deliberate in detail, so it will be a summary from my side. This is nothing but a trial of new hydrogen. Hydrogen is the first lightest element in periodic table. So for steel, hydrogen either you can use as a fuel or you use as a reductant. And steel is such a industry where you can use both. And some of the examples my Dr. Kalyan has shown, and some of the things has come very beautifully in our report in greening of that hydrogen. Four ways that it is nothing but if you'll see, if you are in an organic community, if you are going into drug development, that place people are looking for a trial of a new carbon. But if you are coming to a steel industry, it is trial of a new hydrogen. And a steel industry challenge is how many ways and in which step you want to use the hydrogen. Now, if you're coming for iron and steel making, sometime you had talked about annealing, sometime in the finish. So each and every step you can include. Let me limit today to the iron making. That there are four technologies on which the world has moved on. The first was direct injection of hydrogen to the blast furnace. But if we'll inject, there is no definitive mechanism. Professor Dasappa is sitting here. Whatever you will put in blast furnace, how you will measure, there will not be accounting. And there are some inherent hydrogen generation once you are putting iron into that. And some escape will be there. The second, that if you are putting in a that natural gas with that hydrogen blending, that place also we are TRL 5 to 6, that is fine. But what breakthrough technology, what Sir Norman has talked about, hydrogen-based DRI, 100% DRI, what I will be talking, how our government, our Ministry of Steel and MNRE together has taken in initiative and how they have entrusted that responsibility to my institute as a case I will talk. But if you are looking for breakthrough as a R&D positive person, I have never taken anything as a breakthrough so far. Breakthrough yet to come. Innovation yet to come. Can we mine on site? Can we directly reduce the iron? One of the example, our lab has shown that hydrogen plasma for direct reduction, that already we have showcased in our institute. It is already developed and we are doing all the nitty-gritty. Coming back, that the our Sweden hybrid technology, if you do the literature, everybody will refer that how we are going for 100% reduction using the hydrogen. And that technology, that model is still followed. And you know, Ministry of Steel and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy together has identified IMMT as one of the potential bidder to bid for that. Why don't you collaborate among academia, industry, and the R&D organization, not only from India, across the globe, how you will come forward. So I will not name all the industry, but we have been successful in our bid. I can tell you that in hydrogen, that 100% hydrogen-based DRI, we have got all major steel industry who are in India. All of them are a goal player. One is sitting beside me. One already, because he has not come due to that sale and all. So all the major steel industry has given their input, that shown their willingness, and they are part of the consortia. What we have bidded for technicality, we are not naming the industry. Similarly, not only this, India is now bubbling with energy. Original equipment manufacturers, 6 of them are together with us. Then we have the project engineering company, 6 of them, and then including that all our academics, IIT, ISC Bangalore, NITs and those. So these 4 forums, we have put together our bid for putting technicality, that how we can go for 100% DRI based, and our plan is to go for 20 tons per day. But before going into that, there is something inside has to go into, that you require lot of R&D, lot of study. It's look very easy when we write the things that we will use 100% for DRI, but what will happen in properties and this. And if you are coming to challenge, the biggest challenge is the already fellow panelist has produced that what is the renewable energy, what is the green hydrogen, what is the cost of hydrogen. And we are hopeful as a R&D man that 100% if you are going to a scale will increase. I think MNRE will support this. My friend Deepak will support that it will come to $1 or $0.5. I will produce with renewable energy. So you use it directly below 50 paise, something like that. Tomorrow hydrogen will come because hydrogen is available and it will come. Someplace nature, you put some pump in a natural clay, hydrogen will be coming. So all possibilities are there. It's not that you have to daydream that white hydrogen they are looking inside the sea. Put a pipeline, hydrogen will be coming, put into your blast furnace. Like that in cooling also, when I was working with Tata Steel, one of the biggest example was that if you are putting the slag in cooling, you can explore the water, split the water and directly put into blast furnace. So those experiments also we have seen. So my friends, be a good observer, be a good reader. Possibility are numerous, and as a positive R&D man, if you come to IMMT, it is not institute. I think I request invite all of you to CSIR. NML, we have National Medical Laboratory, we have IMMT, we have Karaikudi. All the laboratories are together for your exploration. Please come, our lab, IMMT particular, what I have taken 1.5 years back, it is nothing but an industry. What you think, you go to the tonnage basis. And today, after this last 1.5 years when I have came, we are going for a straight gate pelletization unit. Already with a 15 to 20 crore investment is being put from CSIR side. We are putting coal gasification plant. We are going to put water your plant for that. We are putting our own 1 tons per day, 1 ton per day, this per pilot project. This all we are doing from inside. So I request all of you visit. We have coal gasification. We can use that syngas. We are going to put electrolyzer with some of your support. So it will be for experiment in numerous that whatever you want to do. If there is a willing, there is no challenge. Only I request that it is a human intensive industry. Lot of experimentation is carried out. Our country and our thing is lacking in a human resource. There is less process metallurgist. We have to create, we have to encourage, and these type of books and this type of findings, whatever we are trying to bring. Today, I have seen the great gathering here in the hydrogen. These things that this should go to the masses, all engineering college, and including all the institution can be create, and India has the potential, and we are going to have meet the challenge, and 100% hydrogen reduction. It will be required tomorrow. All our policy maker after 7 to 8 years, they don't have to think. It will be implemented once it is invented. It takes 10 to 12 years, and if you see all the China, you go to Korea, you go to Sweden, every place and everybody. Now this solution is a global. It's not any India specific or any country specific. Wherever it is coming in a consortium mode, hybrid is a consortium mode. Korea is also doing, Japan is doing, everybody is doing consortium. We have to save our planet, and that's why with Ministry of Steel, MNRE and CSIR together has come for bidding this to provide one solution to correct our planet. So these are some of the things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The kind of adrenal rush that I had after listening to Dr. Ramanuj, I'm sure that India is a land of opportunity. There is reverse brain drain that has started. There was a century when a lot of my friends used to go and migrate to US and UK. Now they're looking to come back and work in India. And starting note, Neha itself mentioned that 200 people as think tankers came together. Some of them are on the panel. But then there is always this skepticism that, whatever we are doing, India, from a green hydrogen perspective, is more from an, export perspective, because that's where the market is, that's where the demand is. But after hearing a lot of the panelists, I see India is also a land of opportunity. So Deepak, with, listening to these great stories in a very short period that is changing the dynamics, Do you see India as a market for you to develop green hydrogen projects? And Avaada being an entrepreneurial journey itself would definitely be a risk averse with the kind of investment that you have received. Would you again, question is, look now with this patriotism towards India, or you will think from a commercial to focus on the export market, or it is a mix of both?
I think, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, MNRE, for giving us this opportunity. A simple answer is yes. We are a producer, so we are looking for more customers. So whether it's domestic exports, it doesn't really matter. But we see the entire, not just the green steel, but the entire green steel ecosystem is full of opportunities for renewable energy developers who are venturing into the green fuel space. I just give you some different perspective. Of course, what goes within the steel factory, experts are already here, and they can give you much better information than what I can provide. But if you take a clear holistic perspective and see from the overall scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 emissions, and like if you would have seen in the presentation of Mr. Kalyan, the scope 3 emissions was nearly almost 8 times the scope 1 emissions. So what we see is, if you look the entire steel industry as a value chain, first we have a mining, which is a mining of iron ore as well as the coal. Mining needs to be decarbonized, where you need renewable energy in a massive scale. And then from mining, if you move to the logistics, where both the ocean freight as well as the domestic freight through rail transport. So you have to transport iron ore and coal over thousands of miles in the ocean, in the global trade, which even currently happens today. Let's take from Australia to Korea, Australia to Japan. So that is second opportunity, which is a maritime decarbonization, where we can actually replace some of the existing vessels which can actually run on green hydrogen, green ammonia, sorry, and green methanol. And happy to share with you, some of the larger players in the world has already taken the lead. We nearly have 200 ships already ordered for green methanol. And likewise, even green ammonia, several ships have been ordered to shipyards where they will use ammonia as a fuel to transport some of this iron ore and some other metallurgical minerals from the markets like Australia to the other developed markets. So that's the second bit, which is the logistics and the maritime decarbonization, where we see as a renewable energy and a green IPP, green fuel producer, the maritime itself will be one of our largest customers. The third is the steel complex. Now, yes, within the steel complex, everyone knows we need to decarbonize blast furnace, move to electric arc furnace, then there is hydrogen DRI. A lot of pathways are there, and I don't want to go into details of it. But some companies like, let's say, POSCO, who is working on this journey for nearly last decade, and even for the next decade, they're still trying to figure out whether to move to a Hyrex technology is planned post 2030, which is a pure hydrogen DRI blazed, where you can reduce 95 or 99% of emissions. But there is a pathway to it, and it has a cost attached to it. But what is the immediate thing that can be attached in a steel mill? The easiest thing is most of the large steel projects have a power plant. So can we decarbonize the power plant, which is actually feeding electricity to the steel? So either it's a coal-fired plant, we use blend it with ammonia, and that to green ammonia and not clean ammonia, or whether it's a gas-fired plant, you blend it with green hydrogen. So power is another sector which can actually contribute to the steel decarbonization. So we see so much of opportunities that lies in the entire steel value chain. And of course, it has to be driven by, as Bernt mentioned, by the ultimate end customer. Like we as customer, are we willing to buy a product which is more green and more sustainable, whether it's a high-end automobile, whether it's any other steel product that we consume on our day-to-day lifestyle. Because everything has to be bear on a cost, and it's the ultimate customer. Of course, the governments will do their own bit to provide some kind of subsidy, not just to the producer, but also to the customer to adopt to this change. But we as customers, are we really willing to pay the price? Because talks are fine. It's a dream. I think green hydrogen at $1. At least we as producers, we don't see that's happening in next 10 years. Even if we were to reach at $3, I mean, that's a miracle because somewhere there is to be a starting point. What is happening in the last 3 years, the starting point is just getting shifted. Everyone is hoping that the green hydrogen cost will come down, but no one is willing to give the first order of first 5 million tons. Just to take an example, the Europe itself where the norms are most stringent and where a lot of developments can happen. But Europe itself needs almost $130 billion of investment in steel and oil, and that itself needs 5 million ton of green hydrogen. Can Europe produce the green hydrogen at the cost structure at which what India can do? Answer is clearly no. Because we as an REIPP, we know how difficult it is to acquire 10,000 acres of land to set up a 3 gigawatt solar. Name one location in Europe where you can say, procure 10,000 acres in one single geography. Answer is clearly no. And the same is true for Japan, same is true for Korea. If they were to remain in business, CBAM is a reality. Steel contributes a massive component of their exports to European markets. So if Japan's steel industry were to remain viable post 26, 27 in their long pathway towards clean and green, India has to play a very important role because we are the only possibly very well placed to meet the requirements of this steel producers to help them supply CBAM compliant steel. And those countries really don't have the low cost energy access, renewable energy access what India has. We are blessed with abundant sunshine, abundant wind, abundant hydro potential for pump storage hydro, and wasteland where these projects can set up, and a lot of water bodies where floating solar can come. So the real renewable energy cost, and that to round the clock renewable energy cost, is the strength of India, which needs to be leveraged, and India can be a solution, not just for India, but make for India and make for the world as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. So given the time paucity, I have another round of question, but what I am going to do is do something out of the syllabus. I heard a lot from each individual, and as EY, the knowledge partner, I've been asked that there is a need for call for action, right? So going back, Neha, you mentioned that the policies have been built. There is a whole perspective on the side that you're saying. The end impact is 0.5%, right? As per your study done with the whole team. The two things that I wanted to understand, one side, you have to look for the demand, which is building continuously in India from the expansion and almost 7% expected growth, being the fastest growth country in the world. At the second side, you have to also ensure that there is, sustainability elements being taken care of. That's the double dilemma that each individual faces. From your side, what are the kind of things that you can bring? Some of the things that we hear from industries, the mandates can be brought in that this much a percentage of steel has to be green. There are discussions around carbon pricing, because if we neutralize carbon taxes in India, the double accounting can be avoided from the 90 or 60 or 90 or 150 euros in the European market. Can we look for some kind of viability gap funding to make sure these projects are viable? So these are some of the thoughts that players have thrown to us. Before this conference, we had voice of customers. Anything that you can break this double dilemma?
So Kapil, so there is no silver bullet for the solution which we are looking for. So there has to be gamut of solutions which work hand in hand together. So I've already talked about creating a demand side pull. Now, definitely compliance mechanism, regulatory framework also has a very important role to play. And we are already aware the CCTS scheme has been announced, carbon credit trading scheme has already been announced, and soon, very soon, it will be implemented. So that is one very important regulatory framework which is coming out, which will be giving each individual plant a target to meet a one comprehensive goal. So I would like to say that we are working with BEE, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, to fix a trajectory. And as has been mentioned in the report, right now we are at 2.54 ton of CO2 emitted per ton of crude steel. And we are planning to go to 2.2 by 2030. And that is the trajectory which CCTS is also working on. And so that average emission intensity, the reduction in this emission intensity will be distributed to all the plants. So each individual plant will be given a target. So that is one definite thing, a very important tool which government is coming up with. But beyond that, yes, we need finances. You mentioned about VGF. Government of India is also working with different agencies for this funding. We are trying to harness the fund available with GCF, GEF, and also we are also trying to collaborate with ADBs, World Bank. However, what I see, we have been trying really hard to find out some funding, but whatever I see is the fund is very limited. And steel is a very, very capital intensive industry. We need money in like thousands of crores to make a difference. And what we get is like a 50 crore fund or 100 crore fund, which hardly makes a difference. You know, that's good for some pilot projects, not even for full-fledged pilot projects. It's just good for some studies. So I would now say that it ultimately boils down to money. Show me the money, I'll show you the solution. That's kind of a situation we are in. And where does the money come from? That's the biggest challenge for everything. What I think that it is, yes, government's responsibility to get some funds for initial nudges, for initial push, but it is the industry which will have to contribute. They will have to pump up first thing their R&D funds. That's very important. The innovations and R&D has to come from the steel industry, the steel players themselves. Tata's, JSW's, JSPL, JSL, they all are having their own very good R&D team. So one thing is they have to pump it up. Second thing, they have to get into a collaborative approach. That's very important. Why should all be having different labs? Why should all be working differently on a green hydrogen projects and CCUS projects? We have to team up. Now it's a time. We had already shown a competitive industry. Steel is a very competitive industry, but to fight this war of climate change, we have to team up, build consortiums, and that's what we are trying to do with green hydrogen projects, which MNRE is funding. So we are trying to adopt a consortium approach. That is what we have to do. And lastly, I would like to say that businesses also have to stop worrying about their top lines and bottom lines right now. So that's also very important. I know you are here to make money, but this is a responsibility everyone has to face. Climate change is real. It's here. It's affecting us now also. So yes, it's and India, as I said, is a developing country, has a very strong developmental agenda. Steel is such a capital intensive industry, and government cannot fund all its needs. So it is the businesses who have to come forward and take initiatives and pour in some finances to take the lead. Thank you so much.
A round of applause, because one thing I want to say over here is, as I see in the room and in this the panel, 1:5 ratio. Similarly, I see 1:5 ratio women diversity. Round of standing ovation to Neha, because I've never seen someone so articulate about their thoughts and this thing. I'm giving a standing ovation to you. We want more of women empowerment like this to drive the things in nation. And thank you for bringing that. Your topics very well pointed. I have a goosebumps right now. So thank you for that. But then you mentioned a very important point of top line and bottom line. Because I'm giving a double dilemma, I'm giving to Kalyan sir in terms of, not taking a job, sir. But you have sustainability as your key agenda. At the same time, there is a thought process to broad that stop looking at top line and bottom line. Can you look without top line, bottom line, sustainability as a driver? You have done a pilot. Can you take it to the full scale?
You see, we at JSL, very good question. That's whether we can forget the top line and bottom line. We at JSL have embarked on several kind of decarbonization and energy transition projects. But incidentally, what we saw, most of them are cost saving. We have already gone into a PPA for 100 megawatts, renewable, round the clock renewable for our steel plant, replacing for, okay. So we had a production capacity of 1.1 million ton, and we are scaling up to 2.9 million tons. So you see the expansion power, it would be a very easy decision to just to put up new thermal captive power plant, which we already have. We have a 2 into 125 coal-fired thermal power plant. We could have just extended the new units. But what was decided from the top level was that no longer thermal power, rather we will transition into clean power. So we have got into tie-ups with this developers for around-the-clock renewable energy. And our first PPA was signed with Renew for 100 megawatts around the clock. The second 100 megawatts was signed with another company for our Hisar manufacturing unit. and another is being looked after for, in total, 300 megawatts of round-the-clock energy will be pulled in. Everything what we saw is coming at a parity. Means what the power we could obtain from the grid, this power is coming out to be cheaper than that. So who is worried about the top line and bottom line rather? Okay. Coming to the other scale of decarbonizations like hydrogen. I already showed it in my slides. What hydrogen is today replacing is my cracked ammonia that is at the cost parity. So I have nothing to lose. Okay. Going to other transition projects like EVs. If I'm investing in EVs, electric buses or anything like transportation, it's replacing what? My fuel. Again, there is a saving. So it's not that if you have to move into decarbonization pathways, you always have to be cost intensive. It is not that. Okay. Reducing iron ore to make iron, it is a costly proposition. Worldwide, it's known. That's why in Sweden also, Professor Ramanuj was telling that about hybrid. It is a consortium. It's again consortium of 3 companies who have come together to produce a green steel hybrid, which could be marketed for different end application product. So, and Madam also said that industry should come together to form a consortium to pool in their R&D efforts and pool in their resources to bring in grand scale change into the way we produce steel. Now, today we are looking at the green hydrogen. You see, we have recognized the renewable energy to electrolyzer to green hydrogen as the only pathway. Are we also aware that it is possible through biomass? There is a pyrogasification of biomass can yield you syngas, hydrogen can be extracted through that. That could be one of the pathways to generate green hydrogen. I mean, biomass we can access, biomass if it is accessible, and we can choose this pathway to, deviate from this renewable to electrolyzer to this one, which is costing us $4 to $5 per kg. Biomass-based pyrogasification project can probably get you at $3 per kg, and if mounted to scale, it can reduce further. That is one of the ways we can derive green hydrogen for steel making. So JSL is also interested in this one, and we are looking at, besides our first project in electrolyzer and our upscaled project 1000 nm cube and 4.5 megawatt electrolyzer project is under final stages. We are also looking at the probability of getting into biomass-based green hydrogen. So you see, making green steel, again, it's not always hitting the bottom line, at least in the case of JSL, because presently we are not in the iron making business. But if we do a backward integration where we have the blast furnace route, then we need to see how we can, with the advent of technology, how we can use green hydrogen or hydrogen to decarbonize my blast furnace. Then comes the CCU, the deep decarbonization, which is, of course, that is a capital intensive. If you get into the CCU thing like green hydrogen, that is also capital intensive. So in the upcoming years, we expect changes in technology which will make it more affordable for the steel making units, compete in the market, and also safeguard its bottom line. So that is my experience I'm speaking from. Yes.
Thank you. Now, EY has always been looked as an by name auditor or tax service providers, but we do a lot of consulting. And just an example is JSL net zero journey was done together with Kalyan. The reason I mention about this is not to do the sales pitch, but when I hear the name WWF, it's always thought about conservation, wildlife conservation, right? And interestingly, there's a lot of emphasis on the decarbonization now, the climate program. So again, the double dilemma, Bernt, is like you now saw what has been happening in Europe, but you now just heard what's great happening in India. So what's you see the role of WWF towards driving the learnings of conservations towards the challenges of building the whole decarbonization using green hydrogen, especially in the steel.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, very inspiring, and I'm very happy also to provide some insights or perspectives from Europe. And before answering your excellent questions, I will just comment on one thing about the price parity, about the competitiveness of different technologies. I want to remind the audience and my colleagues here that since a few decades, we have the emission trading scheme in EU. So we have a carbon price. So now today we are in India, and I understand that we are talking about the $1 per kilo of green hydrogen. That may be a relevant figure in the present context here. But if you have a carbon price, the cost parity will be somewhere else. If carbon dioxide emissions are, if you have to pay a lot for carbon dioxide emissions, then you will be interested to pay perhaps $5 per kilo of hydrogen, perhaps even $10. That will change the game completely. So one of the things I want to kind of highlight here is that, of course, that's also the role of the government and the policy instruments. I urge also India to explore the possibilities to create a carbon pricing, and I think I heard something in that direction. So I applaud it, and that's a very big important first step. That was my point. But then yes, about the role of WWF, I'm very happy to see a lot of things going on global level. So I work in WWF Finland, and we have a broad global network of offices having a dialogue with industry, creating or emphasizing creating a more demand for green steel, also integrating the perspective of green steel in the global climate diplomacy. I mean, the UNFCCC, the Paris Agreement implementation, we should really have a global perspective, and that's where WWF can make a difference. And I'm also, I want to also raise tell about WWF India. That's also one example. Our local office here, please wave, Vishal. We are also now part of the WWF family working with steel sector decarbonization. And just in a few weeks, actually, WWF India will launch India Green Steel Coalition. It's a very typical way for WWF to work. So we invite industry stakeholders, both demand and supply side, and we have a dialogue, sharing of knowledge, also using the global network to learn from each other, and also, of course, contemplate on things on also policy issues and having a dialogue with the government. So please reach out to Vishal and his team here, and also, of course, if you are interested in learning about what's happening on global level, we have a steel decarbonization work stream and in WWF, and through me you can also, I'll be happy to learn more. But I think cooperation coalitions are needed, and we are very happy to be part of these kind of coalitions. Yeah, many people I have talked to here are posing the question. So why is WWF doing steel sector? I mean, you're the rhinos and elephants and tigers, but you know, climate change is the biggest threat to the tigers and rhinos and penguins. So we really have to be part of the coalition of green steel, because steel is such an impactful from a climate perspective. So we're very happy to be here, and we'll want to continue the dialogues.
Thank you. Given that we've been running out of time, I'll quickly give one minute each. Okay, going back to Deepak, in terms of one of the leaders have said and made sleepless night for me, $1 1 kg hydrogen in 1 decade. And you know, a lot of my clients started asking, how is this 111 going to happen? And you just mentioned it's not going to be possible. So I'm putting you in a double dilemma. You have a project to run, you have a business to run. How would you achieve 111?
I think
I'm giving you 1 minute only. Sorry.
Let the government put the bill for subsidy and incentive, because also, you know, because we have tried everything. I think it's unless the market is created to a meaningful size. See, this is a new sunrise industry, like where the renewable energy started or solar started 15 years back. The first PPA was signed for 15 rupees. Because of that 15 rupees PPA, we have a reality today at 270. Had that 15 not there, 270 would never happen. So somewhere we need to start with a price which is meaningful. Forget a very high shareholder return, but even a decent return to all the entire stakeholders and both producers and consumers willing to be a part of this climate change ecosystem. Let's work together and let's collaborate and to make it happen. Because if we keep shifting the goalpost, the price will never come down.
Thank you, Deepak. And obviously, this is not a beauty pageant. So, we can't do greenwashing. And going back to you, Dr. Ramanujan, one thing that you want to make sure that your TRL level moves from 5, 6 to almost TRL level 9. What do you need? Because whenever I go to industry, bring international licensors, SMS, Prime Metal, and we have a technology sitting over here. What do you think is the challenge that you see from you having a technology? You talked about plasma. There is industry stalwart sitting here, but there they take the risk to adopt a new technology. What's the way that you can move from TRL 5 to 9?
You see, only one word if I can tell, you should believe your people. You should have faith. Moment we are talking for collaboration, the collaboration should be free. That whenever you are going to a doctor, prescription should be told or disease should be told in a homeopathy manner. The institution, whatever has been built in our country, they have all the capability, they have all the solution. Any day, 5 to 9, it will go. If you are thinking $1, we are asking, we have such a capability, India, one side, Deepak was talking, lot of land, big resources, everything is there. But at the same time, God will not give you everything. You have low grade iron ore, you have low grade coal, you have all the other things are low. And if R&D will come and this type of people will come together, then we have a solution. Future is bright because you have to think for hydrogen injection. You have to integration of hydrogen with renewable, and ultimately what Kalyan was talking, CCS, all three will come together. Whole cost comparison will come down. So have faith in our people. Come back. Ministry has started a new initiative, and we have to take. So only industry has to come forward. Believe your institution. No need of doing R&D. One solution. This problem is a global problem. We are a one scientific community, whether it is R&D from industry or R&D from academia. They are one, then only one solution, green solution, and planet will be saved. Ultimately, these are the processes we are coming together. In future, we will come together. One very fine laugh has come once he was talking from Professor Dasappa. The moment biomass has come, and biochar was one of the aspects of our report. India is such a good country. We have written in our report that bamboo grow nearby highway and go for nearby all railway tracks. Your sound will be reduced. That is a biomass. That is a biochar, which will make your steel greening. And the supply is working. My two colleagues, that is the importance of R&D. Beria and SP Das is there with me, who taught me a steel, revised me a steel in 1 year. So this is the training after coming from polymer, coming back to metal. These are the two persons who trained me. And I can think I have read well enough for this purpose. So thank you.
Just to build
Together,
that trust, I have one question for the audience. Like, how many have come here or have flown in a flight? Raise your hands. Only 50% fly. Okay, good. We are still a developing nation. And how many of you would fly if you come to know that the pilot is the first time pilot and running alone that plane? And if I ask if that the fuel has been provided and you're not aware is driven by hydrogen, how many will fly that plane? See, close your eyes, what you're eating at the restaurants, the plane that you're sitting, you just have to trust. You have to trust our people, our R&D institute, and it will drive through what we are looking for. With that note, great audience, great panelist, and great set of speakers and the content that was built. Thanks my team who has put sleepless nights to create the content and this thing. We look forward for a healthy dialogue on this topic going forward. Thank you, everyone.
But one thing I also thank you. When we want to become a R&D person, want to become an economist, or some price, because in our project we have to give good words, then we brought from EY. Lot of report we read EY and KPMG. So whenever we build proposal, so India is consuming this much, this is the dollar. So your report is very handy to us. We download, you know.
Thank you so much. My boss is not sitting here.
What a great session. What a great session. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our panelist and our moderator a big round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now, may I please move towards the felicitation? I would request our moderator, sir, Mr. Kapil Bansal, to please join us at the center. And requesting our panelist, Ms. Neha Verma, ma'am, to please join us at the center. Now is the time to felicitate Ms. Neha Verma, Director, Ministry of Steel. And I would request all of us, ladies and gentlemen, let's take part in the moment by putting our hands together. Thank you so much, Neha Verma, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us today. We have learned a lot of things, lot of learning from you today. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now requesting Dr. Ramanuj sir to please join us at the center. We are felicitating Mr. Ramanuj sir. A lot of things that we have learned from you. Thank you so much to you for spending your time and coming here today. Lot of learning from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now requesting Mr. Kalyan Kumar sir to please join us at the center. And now we are felicitating Mr. Kalyan Kumar sir. Thank you so much to you. Great learning for all of us, and it was a great and a wonderful session. Now may I please request Mr. Bernt sir to please join us at the center. We are felicitating Mr. Bernt Nordman, Head of Climate Program, Worldwide Fund for Nature, Finland. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Finland, and we have learned a lot from you today. I'm now requesting Mr. Deepak Agrawala sir to please join us at the center. We are felicitating Mr. Deepak Agrawala sir, Senior Vice President, Avaada. Let's give a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. And now, I must say on behalf of everyone who's sitting here, sir, I would request you to please be joined in the center, our moderator, sir. And to felicitate our moderator, I would request Ms. Neha Verma, ma'am, Director, Ministry of Steel, ma'am, to please join us and felicitate our moderator, Mr. Kapil Bansal, partner, ENY. So what a wonderful session altogether we have witnessed, and you made it such vibrant for us. You were a wonderful moderator today. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now, may I please invite all our panelists to please join us at the center.
To me, to my team, ML, Swapnil, Nivedita,
All of you come in group photo.
If that's doable, I would really like to invite all of us. You know, in India, we love to capture each and every moment. And this was a wonderful session, you know, and we really want to have all of you who can join us for the group photo. What a great session. Everything was so balanced. And I saw everyone being very attentive. Once again, let's give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Thank you so much. Thank you. Once again, I would like to thank our moderator, our esteemed panelist. Thank you so much for spending your time. Thank you so much for taking out your precious, your valuable time for coming and joining us today and making this day wonderful for all of us. I know that all of us who are sitting here are taking a lot of learnings because we just met such esteemed panelists, such esteemed speaker coming from a variety of background. It was such a learning day for us, very insightful day for us. Thank you so much.